What is so special about Leica? Why am I so addicted to this brand? Why do I spend so much money on Leica gear? And is it really collectible what you purchase, or will it lose value over time? And of course, I could argue and say I enjoy shooting my Leica cameras. I enjoy big time my Leica Q3 43, and I have many videos about that camera on my channel. I enjoy big time my Leica SL3 and the lenses and the beauty and goodness coming from an Summilux-M. I enjoy my Leica M cameras, the M11-D in Safari edition. I enjoy my SL3 Reporter edition. And of course, I could also say I have many good friends, close friends at the Leica brand, in the management, in the stores. There are many good reasons I could bring as arguments why I like this brand so much. But at the essence, at the core, Leica is the camera brand with 100 years of history. 100 years going back to the first Leica camera, the so-called Ur-Leica, invented by Oskar Barnack, who was driven, obsessed by the motivation to come up with a camera which you could carry with you and finally take pictures wherever you are, which is what we do as photographers, right? We capture that moment which we see, we like, that moment which never comes back. And that is, I think, what distinguishes Leica from every other camera brand. 100 years of history. Many epic photos have been taken with Leica cameras over these 100 years. And that is what is the special celebration Leica has this year, the 100-year anniversary. And for this anniversary, Leica brought, I think, the most special kit, combination, package of a very special camera and very special lenses to market. And in this video, I want to tell you more about this. I will show you my live unboxing because I'm one of the very, very few lucky people on planet Earth who got this whole package allocated by the Leica headquarters. Let's kick this off. Welcome back to my channel for an episode which involves the biggest package, the biggest box I ever got from Leica. This is really a huge package, and we are going to unbox this now. And for collectible pieces from Leica, typically limited pieces which are highly desired in the Leica community, it's good to also preserve the outer packaging. And you see here my number here, so this is limited to 100 pieces. My number here is the number 60. That was my wish to the Leica headquarters when I asked for that kit here of the Leica M11-D and the two lenses which we are going to discover in a moment. And in fact, it's actually 101 of these cameras, but there is one which is the 1 millionth ever produced Leica M camera, which has the serial number 6 million, a very special piece, and that was not for sale. So we talk about 100 available boxes here. And as I said, and if you look here, this is really huge. Whenever we have a package to open, we need the Swiss tool. You know that procedure by now. Here we go. And I'm going to open this in a moment. But before, I want to kindly ask you to support my channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell, support my work. I'm super grateful for that. For you, it's for free. And for me, it means the world because it helps to increase the reach of my channel. Many thanks for that. And now let's go to work. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to open this here on this side first. Then we go here and just very carefully open this, not going too deeply with the knife into the box. Then we go to the other side. And I'm sure this will be super, super special because I gave you already a flavor from the website what this is all about. And here we go. Let's open this further up. And by the way, let's close the Swiss knife here. Done. So this is safe and secured. And we can focus now on the content of this package. Let's lift it up. Oh my gosh. This is really nice. Look at that. Here is an inner box, and that inner box we can very likely lift up. It's very heavy, so I will have to lift this out of this box now. I cannot do this live in front of the camera. and we'll place the inner box on the table, and then we continue with the unboxing. All right, I removed the outer packaging. This is the inner box. We see again here, this is number 60. And I'm going to open this now. It says here Leica M11-D 100 years of Leica. And I'm going to open this from the side here with my knife. Here we go. And then we open it. And in the same way as all Leica packagings, it falls apart. Look at that. There are some hints for packaging. The black printed outer box serves solely as protective packaging for the finely crafted wooden case. Blah, 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 blah. Well, we're going to open this now and we'll have a look. All very careful. Oh my gosh, look at that. That's like with posh watch brands where you actually get some cloth for protection and have it outside. I guess we can lift this up. Let me see. Whoa, look at that. A little bit of dust here. Shiny, posh, very, very cool. And I guess I have to take this out in order to open it. If I saw this correctly in the web, it slides out in both directions here. So I will again remove the packaging from the table and return with that black glossy box, which is the presentation box of this kit for the Leica M11-D and the 2 lenses coming with it. All right, this whole unboxing process is a little bit like what you do with onions. We had an outer packaging, then we had another outer packaging, and finally in then the normal box where Leica ships their gear, we have now this black box here. And I think there is a mechanism on the side where we can pull this and then it should open. Look at that. Here we go. This is 1925 to 2025. There is a silver Leica logo here on a chrome finish. And that is how the box looks like. Very nice, beautiful. 100 years Leica celebration. Congratulations, Leica. You managed to become one of the most important, most iconic brands in 100 years. Absolutely fantastic. If I see this correctly, in order to open this here, I need to pull it further out. Let's see. This is actually very smooth, buttery smooth, like the focus ring on the Leica M or Leica SL lens. Here we go. And I guess now we can lift this up and can have a look inside. The most exciting unboxing I ever did. Look here, we place this here, and here it is. Here we have the components. Here is the Leica M11-D. Here is one lens, here is the other lens, and of course I'm going to cover all 3 items in the box in a moment. Let's lift this further up in the way we saw it in the web. Very careful, let's place it here. And here we see the accessories. What do we have? We have here a shoulder strap. And the shoulder strap is here on a pouch for the camera. This is a leather case, very nice. Nice finish and nice color. Very vintage-like. I think this is it's actually for memory cards. Like this looks like SD cards here, which you can place inside, which is useful, of course. And then we have here, I think, a booklet. Let's have a look. Let's have a look inside. This is the 100-year booklet. Leica M11-D, 100 years of Leica. We have here the 2 lenses, the Anastigmat-M 1 to 3.5, 50mm, the Summilux-M 1 to 1.4, 50mm. It's an aspherical lens. And I can tell you guys, this lens here is regularly available. It's the modern Summilux. I'm coming to that in the course of the video. But having a freshly produced Anastigmat-M lens here is something like a novum. This is absolutely fascinating, absolutely amazing. Here we have 100 years of Leica, a homage to the icon of photography. People signed up for this. Matthias Harsch actually is the CEO of Leica, and you see here the serial number. And we have here for the lenses the serial numbers. And you see that's a long history, right? We are talking about serial numbers in the millions here. Very, very nice. And then we get very likely the usual manual here for Leica M11-D, which is a very special camera. And let's place this here in the background. And then what else do we have in the box? We have here a charger. We have here cables, all kinds of things which belong into that kit. And I think that's a really complete set. But what makes it most special, of course, is the limitation to 100. Well, as I said, 101 have been produced all in, but one of these 101 is so special, we'll not get our hands on it. And of course, the lenses here, they are all very special, but the very most special one clearly is the Anastigmat, and we are going to look into them now in detail. Okay, good. Let's start with the Leica M11-D. Let me take this beauty out and let's have a look. This is such a beautiful finish here. And it fully pays homage to the legendary Leica I from 1925. If you compare these images from Leica's website, you see the similarities. This is a modern interpretation of the Leica I from 1925 brought to market 100 years later. As a side anecdote, I remember very well that I always refused to buy these D cameras in the M series. And I remember when my really close friend Carlos from the Leica store in Zurich asked me back then when the Leica M11-D came to market, do you want one? I said, no, definitely not. Why should I pay more for a camera with less features? Because there is no LCD screen here on the backside of the camera. But now I have it here because this is very likely, in combination with these two lenses here we are going to explore in a moment, the most desired, most valuable, most special kit Leica in a limited edition ever brought to market. And if you look at the design of the camera body, I do this very quickly, you see here this beautiful Chinian leather texture. It's just beautiful, feels very valuable in hand. You see the usual control elements, but they all have a classic cross knurling around it. Look at that here. Let me maybe bring this closer to the camera so you can see it better. You see this cross knurling here on the control element around, going around it. And you see this also on the L-mount bayonet cap here. Look here. Here it is a very interesting texture. I think it's called a cross knurling. And this cross knurling is a homage to the original way Leica built these type of cameras and control elements on the cameras. And this is just beautiful, you know. And we have here on the hot shoe, the hot shoe cover has an engraving 100, of course, lined up with the 100-year anniversary of Leica. And then we see here the serial number of mine is 6,060,000, which is consistent with the number in the limited edition. It's number 60 engraved here on the left side of the hot shoe. And I mentioned before that among these cameras, it's all in 101. 100 were for sale, and one of them was the 1,000,000th M camera with a serial number 6 million. This is now the serial number 6,060,000. Very nice. And also on the on-off switch and the shutter release button, you see this cross knurling here. And the way you switch this on is you just turn it and it snaps in. And we have here engravings, Ernst Leitz, and then here Wetzlar. Beautiful design all in, and a very valuable, very special camera if we look at that. In terms of material, we have here a high gloss black lacquered brass top plate, and all the control elements are nickel colored and anodized with this classic cross knurling, which I showed before in the camera. Getting this a bit closer before. And so much regarding design. There is one more feature I want to mention, namely the lack of the red Leica logo. We have here this screw instead of the Leica logo, which we see from time to time on Leica M cameras. And a lot of Leica M shooters actually appreciate that because it makes the camera a little less eye-catching. Now, one question I need to answer and address, of course, if you have no LCD screen here, how do you actually set up this camera and how do you steer it? And there are various ways. Let's talk about setup first. I will set up this camera later after the video. And in order to do so, I have to connect it to the Leica Photos app. This is a classical case where you don't get that far without getting engaged with the Leica Photos app, because otherwise you might not be able to set this up. And you can, of course, also enjoy a preview of what you shoot with a lack of an LCD display in the Leica Photos app, because there you have live view and everything you are used to as a Leica shooter. And let's say if you want to shoot, for instance, in aperture priority, then you don't have to figure out the shutter speed by yourself. The camera will do it. And you just use the rangefinder here to focus, and then you take the shot. If you're in fully manual mode, you have in this optical viewfinder here some LED guidance, which shows you if you got the lighting right and correct. And that's basically all. You can shoot this like any other camera. Now, what is the philosophy behind a digital camera without an LCD screen? And what Leica says is this is the purest, the most essential way of finding back to slowing down in photography, focusing on image composition and not getting distracted by too many features, electronics, what have you. And I think that is a good argument. I will try it out for myself, of course. For me, this is a collectible, a collector's piece I invested money in because I'm sure, I'm 100% sure, and I come back to this point in a moment, that it will gain a lot of value over the next years. People who bought this, they are not supposed to sell this in the next 2 years. You actually sign a contract with Leica. You can sell it back to Leica if you have liquidity problems, but you cannot sell it to third parties. Otherwise, you would violate the contract you signed. But after 2 years, you are free to sell this. And in this way, you have very likely something in terms of an investment which will gain value because people demanded this a lot. And I think it was sold out already at the 100-year celebration at the Leica campus in Wetzlar in June, where I participated. And the demand was much higher than the supply, namely limited to 100 pieces. Now, when we talk about this being a collectible, a very special item you invest money in, how true is that really? And I personally, in my experience, I'm doing this Leica game for quite some years now. If you purchase standard items, in particular electronic items like a Leica SL2, Leica SL3, a Leica Q3, and you want to basically replace it by something more modern because Leica issued a new camera, after 2 years or 3 years, you typically lose money, right? Because electronic devices, they don't hold their value most of the time. It's totally different with manual Leica cameras, going back then, film roll cameras. Here it can really gain steeply in value. And we saw this in some recent auctions where Leica cameras were sold for more than 3 million or more than 6 million if they are special enough. But for instance, with lenses like these two lenses here and with the Leica M11-D, I personally believe you do not only preserve value, but it is a true investment. And the multiple you get in this type of gear from Leica is absolutely amazing if you invested in the right stuff. And of course, I want to underpin this statement by an example. And this is my example. This is the Leica M Noctilux. Let me open this up for you. It's 0.95 widest open aperture, 50 millimeter in titanium finish. This lens is limited, and you see it here, 200 pieces, and I have number 005. And this lens here had a retail value in Switzerland below 16,000 Swiss franc. And in 2 auctions this year at the Leitz auctions, one in Germany in Wetzlar on the Leica campus and one in Vienna, we saw how these type of lenses are desired and how they can gain value. And this lens here, not this particular one, because that's my one, but titanium Noctilux 0.95, 50 millimeter, one was sold close to 100,000 euro. And in June, it actually achieved an insane price tag of 240,000 euro, given a retail price in Switzerland of below 16,000 Swiss franc. So that's an insane value gain. You will not experience this that often in the market, not in the watch market, not in the market of other collectibles. And I think this kit here is special enough that it is worth the money, not only for me as a Leica shooter, because I will shoot this camera and I will shoot these lenses. And I come back to that at the end of the video when I will ask you what else you want to see related to this kit here, but also as an item I keep and just collect and have in my collection. And you know, if in many years I think I need some money or I've shot it enough or want to invest in something else, I'm sure I will sell this significantly above retail value. All right, for the time being, that's good. Let's put it back into the box. As I said, I will get this later up and running with the Leica Photos app. I also have a battery here already. Maybe I should show this quickly. It's the standard M11 battery we can use here. I show you. Here's the SD card slot, and here we can just include one of the batteries I have already from my M11 and M11P. Gentle push and it comes out, but let's place it now in this box for the time being. Let's have a look at these two lenses and let's start here with the Summilux-M widest open f1.4. Let's open this up very quickly. solid, how this sits on the lens. Summilux-M 1 to 1.4, 50mm. It's an aspherical lens. It's a well-known lens, and I will keep it short when it comes to that lens because I spoke about Summilux lenses many times on my channel. And you have here, and that is pretty cool, a minimum focusing distance of 0.45 meters, so 45 centimeter. And that means we have here the most modern design of Summilux lenses. And you have a buttery smooth ring here for focusing. And you also have a bit of a stop here between 0.45 and 0.7. You will not be able to hear it, but I feel it. Look here. It's coming to a stop. And that means from 0.7 meter on to infinity, you can focus with the rangefinder between 0.45, the minimum focusing distance, and 0.7. You will actually have to use the Leica Photos app, in this particular case, in normal M11 cameras, the LCD display, or the VisoFlex electronic viewfinder, because this is the near distance and the rangefinder will not be able to help you in focusing in this focus range here. But from 0.7 on and beyond, where you have this little resistance here, I show it again. Look, here's end of story. Very smooth until here, then it stops. From here up to infinity, you can actually use the rangefinder, the optical viewfinder, and find your focus. Let's quickly look into the finishing of that lens here. It's beautiful because we have that classic cross knurling here on the aperture ring. If you see here, there is the same texture in consistency as what you have here on the camera lens mount cap and on the control elements on this special limited edition Leica M11-D. And the aperture ring has beautiful clicks. Listen to that. Very nice. And you have this cross knurling here, which is, again, I said it before, a homage to the original gear from 1925. Minimum focusing distance of 45 centimeter, I mentioned already. So this is the most modern Summilux 1.4 50mm you can have from Leica. It has this very soft bokeh, which we know from Summilux lenses, whereas aposummicron lenses typically stand for maximum sharpness. The Summilux has typically a very dreamy look, in particular if shut widest open. We have a nickel-colored anodized aluminum surface here, and this has a certain shine in the light here. It almost looks like titanium, but titanium is darker. If you look at this Noctilux again, if you compare these two, this is almost like sand gold. I don't know how to call this, but it is a beautiful finish. And we have here all in a very classical lens, which looks classic from the outside, but is a very modern lens if you look at the optical properties, the minimum focusing distance, and the way the image will be rendered and transported when the light falls into the lens towards the sensor of this Leica M11-D, but also to any other Leica M camera, of course, because this is a classical M bayonet what we have here. And I can use this lens basically on all of my Leica M cameras, on the Leica SL cameras with the appropriate adapter and what have you. In order to fit this in, see, I need to get this back here, and then it will fit in. And the last one is, of course, the Anastigmat here, which I also want to cover. That is a very, very, very special lens. It's a revival of a lens which basically started 100 years back with the Leica I. And in the good old days of the Leica I in 1925, this lens was fixed, mounted to the camera body. You could not remove it. Here now, we have a classical M bayonet, which means I can shoot this camera on all my SL cameras, on all my Leica M cameras, on third-party brand cameras with a suitable adapter. This lens is universally applicable to any camera with a suitable adapter, and it is such a special lens. If you look at the lens, and I want to remind you in the two pictures of the Leica I 1925 compared with the Leica M11-D 100th anniversary, which I showed before, this completely preserves the original shape, dimensions, engravings, and overall design of the original Anastigmat 50mm f3.5. Let's quickly remove the lens cap here so you see this. And you see here Leitz Anastigmat 1 to 3.5, and the focal length is 50mm. And we can steer the aperture here inside, which is interesting. If you look here, you can just steer it here with this tiny little knob. Let me bring this closer to the camera again so that you can see this. Look here. Now I'm at an f12 and here is widest open f3.5. You see this? You just push it or pull it with your pointing finger and then you're good to go. The way you focus is also very intuitive here on this Anastigmat 50mm f3.5. Here is a stop. There's a mechanical element which stops the focus ring and is fully integrated here in the lens, the focus ring. And if I'm here at the stop, you see here I'm focusing at infinity. Then we have here 10 meter, 5 meter, and by the way, a long travel for that focus ring. 4 meter, 3 meter, 2 meter, 1.5 meter, 1.25 meter. And that's then almost it. Here we go to 1 meter and then you are in close distance, minimum focusing distance territory here. And if you want to shoot that lens on a Leica M11-D or any other Leica M or SL camera with an adapter, you actually have to pull this out. And you see here, that's the way it comes out. And then listen to that. You can click it in here. I do it again. Listen. And now it's fixed. And now you're ready to shoot. And then when you're done with shooting, you can bring this in again and screw it a little bit to sit firmly here. And this provides a very compact design. I think this was an ingenious design back then in 1925 and made the camera lens combination very, very small because only when you shoot, you actually get this tube out here for shooting. By the way, last but not least, I forgot to show you on the lenses. Here is the number. It's number 060, so number 60. And I wanted to quickly show that. And the same applies here, of course, to the Summilux lens, because if you look inside the lens, we see here it says number 060, so this is number 60. And in Leica collectible pieces, it's always important that this number is engraved. So it's all there. It's on the camera, on the left-hand side of the hot shoe. It's on the Summilux. And if you get the tube out here, the lens tube, it's also on the Anastigmat 50mm f3.5. All right, I think I stop here. That's all I wanted to say and show in this unboxing. But of course, you are free to tell me your wish list in the comments. What do you want to see? Do you want me to explain further and do a deep dive on that Anastigmat M50 f3.5 because it's such a special lens? Do you want me to show you how to really shoot an M11-D and how to set it up? Do you want me to have a look into the Summilux? I doubt that you really need that because I've spoken about these type of lenses a lot on my channel and there are a lot of reviews there. What does particularly interest you in this camera lens combination kit, and is there anything you want me to follow up with? If you liked that video, don't forget to drop me a thumbs up. Stay tuned on my channel. There's always more to come. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and healthy. And of course, peace out.